to In Conversation. Today we have with us the management team of Adhira Shipping and Logistics. Captain Pappu Sastry, CEO of Adhira Shipping and Logistics and Rainmakers Management and Consultancy Dubai, has always been a newsmaker through his achievements in the maritime industry. He is a recipient of some of the very prestigious maritime awards, namely in 2015 he was chosen as Top 50 Leaders for Shipping in Next Generation by Lloyd's List, United Kingdom. In 2002 he was the winner of the Entrepreneur of the Year award at IBJ Award Rotterdam. In 2023 he won the Bulk Logistics Excellence Award at IBJ Award London. Captain Vijay Nicodemus. Captain Vijay Nicodemus is Chief Operating Officer who is based out of Dubai, UAE. He is a reputed C.O.O. and ship captain with varied experience of port management and port operations. He was the Chief Operating Officer and Deputy Conservator of Karaikal Port Private Limited, India. He was also the Vice President Commercial of Gangavaram Port Limited and General Manager and Branch Head of Seaways Shipping and Logistics Limited. Suparna Marwah. Suparna Marwah is General Manager who is associated with ASL since a year and a half. Before ASL, she was associated with Ho Robinson Shipbrokers for almost a decade, mainly handling finance and CP desk. She started her career with CTI Shipbrokers. Being fond of number crunching, she specializes in project calculations, budgeting and forecasting. As a GM, Suparna looks forward to aligning the core team of ASL with the long-run vision of the company.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have some very important questions for the management team of Adhira Shipping and Logistics, which was earlier known as AIIP Shipping and Logistics. The information received from this interview may be very, very important for all the stakeholders of the maritime trade. I start with some interesting questions. Adhira Shipping and Logistics has established a significant reputation for itself as an Africa-centric mining logistic company. Please tell us about the services offered by the Adhira Shipping and Logistics.
First of all, thank you so much, Captain Mishra and the team of Shipping Tribune for having all of us here. And we are very excited to answer all the questions. Okay, so to begin with, Adhira Shipping and Logistics as an ASL offers long-term project management solutions for logistics of mine commodities from mine to port and sea freight from port to the buyers. So primarily our clientele is of mining clients, mining companies, and the traders who need to offtake of the mine commodities. Okay, so through this approach, we get primarily long-term contracts with commitments for land logistics, warehousing, exports, stockpile management, port management. So Adhira can be trusted upon as offering end-to-end solutions for this purpose. And then apart from this, we also have contract of affreightment of the mine commodities. And ASL also has experience in barging and transshipment. And then we also, structurally, if you ask me, we have our main office in Dubai, and then there's a backup office in Chennai. And then there are project teams are sitting in project sites. We have project offices based out of Kamsar and Anantanarivo and Springbok. So the structure helps us to achieve the local synergies also, managing the local projects. And pipeline one on this, like iron ore in Sierra Leone, bauxite in Guinea, Gabon from feldspar in South Africa, currently lithium in South Africa, Madagascar, and Namibia. And geographically, as AIIP, we used to be focusing on Africa as a region. But now, post this rebranding, we are looking forward to expanding our horizons across South America and Middle East. And our clients currently are based out of Canada, US, UK, and Dubai also. And some of them are even listed entities who have more than 10 years of commitments for us, like life of mine contracts kind of a thing. So yes, we are looking forward to growing upwards and onwards. Let's see. Thank you.
That's very interesting actually, because long-term commitment, as far as the cargo is concerned, that is what is actually required. And you guys are on a very right course, I would say. You mentioned about transshipment. So my next question will be actually about it. In recent times, you have focused on the transshipment business and even land logistics in various parts of Africa. What are the business opportunities and challenges in this sector?
Yeah, thank you very much, Captain. I'll take this question. I think we can see Africa as a land of opportunity. It has always been. It is probably the next China. The mining sector is on the verge of explosive growth. There are several new mines coming up online, and we are focusing on junior mines especially. So you end up with commodities like iron ore, bauxite, manganese, graphite, nickel, coal, feldspar, lithium. I can go on and on. But most of these are the ones which are beneficial for the dry cargo shipping trade, whether it is there are plenty of investment and participation opportunities when something like this happens. I would say you start from where we start. When there is investment and participation opportunity in mines, in mining equipment, in trucking, transport, in infrastructure, road transportation, road construction, railway construction, maintenance, port construction, port management, warehousing, stockpile management. That is up to the land. And then on the sea, there are chances with tugs in ports and tugs and barges for carrying the cargo, shore cranes or even floating cranes for that matter. And then all the crowd seems to be in the shipping. So shipping part is coming probably as the part where the investment is required, but it is the least because already there is a lot of crowd there. Everything else that I mentioned is still very scarce, still very sparse. People have their own mindset about it, but these are the opportunities that are there. I would say any investment from 1 million to 100 million, there are safe and sound projects that are available for any size of commitment that people will want. And the return on investments in Africa are much better. I would say 20% is the minimum that we work on. We actually do get even better returns than that. Ancillary to the mining and logistics, we also see there's a growing need for investment in power generation, I would say even power distribution, processing plants or the processing equipment. Also for the sake of setting up and commissioning the processing plants and bringing them from outside and doing. See, the rules and regulations are quite different in each country, and I think it is the best way with an open mind, with a lot of respect, and do business with experienced counterparts. The common mistake that people do is that they think that Africa is as homogeneous a continent like Australia, but they have to appreciate these are like 56 different countries with different cultures, different languages, different histories, governments, and maybe 5,600 different thought processes. So there is a start, there is an opportunity, but there is a way of enhancing that. Thank you.
I must congratulate you for doing so much research actually in Africa and establishing and making reputation for your company there. But that brings me to India. India has a vast coastline. A large volume of dry bulk trade is handled by non-major ports as well. What logistic opportunities do you see in future in India?
Thank you, Captain. I'll take that question.
Okay.
So, yeah, like you said, India has a vast coastline, which roughly is around 7,500 plus kilometers of coastline. But again, we are limiting ourselves only to the major ports or non-major ports. Very few of them are Cape-size ports. And people are not using the coastline effectively, I would say. There are many plants, refineries, factories, which can be set up, which have been set up near the coast, but they are far from a port where you can discharge a Cape-size vessel. So what happens is most of these Cape-size vessels come to these few ports, discharge the cargo, and from there you start your land logistics either by road or by rail. And whatever benefit you get out of using a Cape is lost because of the high cost of land logistics.
I agree. Yeah.
basically, what we should try and look at is to set up captive berths, jetties. You don't have to build a full port. You can just build a couple of jetties or
Yes.
one jetty, two jetties. Use a transshipment process where the cape comes directly to the place where the jetties are built. You have a transshipment process. You have a floating crane or you have a transshipper. You discharge into barges, move the barges to the jetties. These are captive for that plant or that factory. The cargo goes directly, the distance is less, your pollution is minimized. It is a win-win situation, actually, if you look at it. Rather than right now, if you see, most of the ports are being used as a storage yards. You have ports which have 3 million, 5 million tons of storage yards. Why do we need that kind of storage yards? Because cargo is not able to move fast enough. Cargo is stuck in the port. Any major port or non-major port, big port you go to, they have at least 3 to 5 million tons of cargo in the port at any given point of time. The rail
So
and
if
road
I can,
infrastructure.
if I correctly understand, sir, if I correctly understand, you mean to say that the evacuation from the port, that is the point number one, and then good logistics along with that, that is the way out, right?
Yeah, if you're going to restrict yourself to a port, a major or a minor port, which can handle Cape vessels, then you need very good logistics, road logistics, rail logistics, which at the moment we do not have.
Okay.
So ideally, I would say you set up jetties close to your plant, your factory, your refinery, whatever. Transship the cargo to the port, to the jetty using barges. So that will reduce the cost. It will reduce your dependence on a port, and it will by far it will reduce pollution a lot.
Thank you very
And
much.
whatever,
Yeah, please continue. Sorry.
yeah,
Please,
and
please.
whatever benefit you're getting by using a cape, you will maintain that benefit rather than use it on land logistics.
Now, my next question is for Captain Sastry. It's a very interesting question. Captain Sastry, you are considered an expert in the niche innovative maritime solutions ranging from commercial to technical to strategy. How can India grow its own maritime presence?
Yeah, thank you very much. Maritime presence, I think you can talk about maritime presence in three different scenarios. One is the people, the other is tonnage, and the third is leverage that you can have on others. In terms of people, I think Indian seafarers are already among the best in the world, and there are quite a few of them out at sea. And like me and Captain Vijay, we joined shipping without any background, and we did have we we did have some push on how to become a seafarer, and I am not so sure the future of shipping as a profession in India is getting the kind of wind that it requires to progress. I see that there is a push for other careers, but not really for seafaring itself. You have done a lot of seminars on this, so I don't have to repeat it or emphasize this too much. But this is a point that I wanted to make as well on people. The tonnage that is required, I think there is a lot of concern about the Indian tonnage, Indian flag tonnage. There is not much domestic trade, so you end up with not much Indian tonnage. There is not much encouragement or incentive to be a ship owner in India, and there are probably more rules than less benefits. There was also this cabotage dilution, which I saw was an entry barrier that was dropped, which uh, doesn't really help the case for being a ship owner in India. Inland waterways are also not developed, so even the smaller tonnages have not come up as much. Uh, the third part is, of course, leverage. And leverage, if you ask me, if you have more tonnage, then you have more leverage. I mean, you will know or any rules and regulations that need to be made, even for saving your own people, own citizens outside who are on other flagships. You actually think of it the other way around. I would I would go to the extent of saying that Indian tonnage or tonnage in India is necessary not just for national security but also for energy security, food security, and sovereign security. It is as important as an investment made in naval vessels. I can write a
Yeah,
book
I
on
agree with
this,
you.
but of course, yeah, to make it to make it very short, if in case like Russia, either India gets into a war or gets into a sanction, there are not enough Indian vessels to help India sustain the need for oil or grain or coal that is required. And means I think the government has not thought about it in that way. I'm actually a big fan of what is happening in India with the government for the last 10 years. But this part, I think they haven't developed yet. And this is something that they need to think of. They need to, at least like how in Switzerland, they make a list of ships that are required to ensure their food security and energy security. And then they give incentives to people to go and buy these type of ships. So they do a list and ask them to do. So at least the minimum number of ships that are required in India have to be incentivized at least, in my opinion. And once you have enough tonnage, then you will have enough leverage. A comparison with China and comparison with US is it's a long topic.
Yeah, Captain Sastry, I have one point here. I'm sure in future we will do one more interview when Adhira Shipping will buy some ships and register in India, and we will see Adhira Shipping flag flying very high in India with
Yeah, so
with
give me the
huge.
incentive for being
Yeah,
an Indian traveler, right?
yeah.
I don't have
I'm
that
sure it will
incentive.
happen.
I
I'm
have a
sure it will happen.
Dubai company for a good reason.
I'm very sure that this voice will reach the right ears, and ship owning in India, the tonnage in India will grow, and we will see Adhira Shipping there. Now you talked about security, so let me come to another point here. The global trade is going through lots of uncertainties. We have Ukraine-Russia war, security concerns in the Red Sea shipping route, etc. How do you see the shipping business coping up with these events?
Okay, so I would like to take this question.
Yeah, please.
Our shipping industry has always been facing some or the other challenges since the time immemorial. I think Captain Mishra, even in your career, I'm sure not even a single day would have gone without a smaller or a bigger challenge. So, and in my career also, I've been under the mentorship of some or the other captain, and I've always seen people from this industry are very willing to take up the challenges and they're used to overcoming them. So there like challenges like global recession, pandemic, counterparty risk, changes in the government policy, drying up of Panama Canal. These have been coming and going. So all stance we can take for this industry is that it is strong and resilient enough to take these as stepping stone and market forces instead of a major roadblock. So we are optimistic about this, that it will only help us give some learning and move on.
Very nice. That brings me to the next question, which is again very interesting one, and that is, what challenges do you expect in your company? Since we are talking about challenges, I would like to take up. What challenges do you expect in your company's growth cycle for the next 12 months?
Okay, Captain, I will take that question.
Okay.
With regard to the challenges we expect to take, as Captain Shastri earlier informed you, like we are dealing with a lot of mining companies
Yes.
in Africa at the moment. So, and as you know, Africa is a new market actually. It's all these mining companies are coming up new. The countries also are not very clear on the rules and regulations they have with regards to mining and export of cargoes. So that leads to a lot of instability or changes in rules, regulations. Suddenly somebody comes up with something and they say, okay, let us start this regulation now. So there's a lot of instability and unknown. We are faced with the unknown here. So, and a lot of the mining companies which we are dealing with are junior mining companies. They're not fully established.
Yeah.
They are entering new markets. So they put in a lot of their capex into research and other, what do you say? And most of them tend to neglect the logistic part of the thing. They tend to focus more on the mining part, how to mine the cargo, how to bring the cargo out, how to segregate the cargo, how to. So they tend to leave out on the logistic part. So that is where we come in and we try to tell them, okay, this is how the logistics is going to be. This is how much it is going to cost you. And they are just something which they have not taken into account. And suddenly they realize that most of their capex is gone and they do not, at most times, they tend to expect us to take care of that capex. And as you are well aware, that we were with Arise earlier, and right now we are not with Arise anymore. So we are not capable of putting that kind of capex right now.
Okay.
So these are the kind of uncertainties that are there, and these are the kind of uncertainties that we expect to face in the next 12 months. And with the team which we have and with all the research that we are putting into, we are sure that in the next 12 months, basically what we are doing in all these countries is we are finding proper logistic third party people with whom we can uh, do the logistics. So I'm sure we will do well in the next 12 months.
We are also very
We
sure,
have a lot
Captain
of
Vijay, you will
challenges to
definitely
face,
do it.
and we will overcome them. Sure.
Yeah, we are also very, very sure you will do it. Now, before I ask something, Captain Shastri, we must congratulate you for becoming a non-executive director in a listed entity and are on the board for some non-maritime European and American entities. Heartiest congratulations from all of us here in the Shipping Tribune. It's a very big achievement, and that too for a master mariner, for a mariner. But that brings one question to my mind. How important is the kind of corporate governance for shipping companies?
Yeah, thank you. I think corporate governance wise, it's becoming an individual choice as we go. When there are ships, there are rules for ships. Then the ships are being run by ship managers. Then they made ISM for actually tells the ship manager how they should run their company. And now we have a different angle in the last few years, last already probably 20 years, that the commercial pressure increases. The ship owners are probably uh, somebody with a little money and probably a family-owned entity for all you know, and they are ship owners who put commercial pressure on ship managers, and they don't let them to do exactly what they uh, how they want it to happen. There are budgets and there are constraints. All that is understood, and market keeps going up and down is also understood. But the amount of governance should not go or should not depend on the market. The amount of governance should depend on individual discipline. And
That's a
there
very
are
valid
again
point, sir. I fully agree with you.
there are no entry barriers for shipping. I already told you, right? Anybody with a computer can start a shipping company. But to make it more important for having these companies set up and be responsible for their own governance, I would think there are two or three things that we can do. One is, of course, there should be minimum governance rules for the managers to run their office. How they run the ships is a different thing, but the organization structure in the office and all this, DOC is not doing enough for ensuring corporate governance, or even to some extent, there is no accountability to stakeholders in a ship management company. I would think ship managers still have some rules, regulations, they have some accountability, they have some responsibility, at least accountability to ship owners. The ship owners on the other side, I feel they are the cost cutting and lesser governance down to the ship managers and then to the ships. And I think there should be some rules and regulations on how a ship owner runs his business. And there has to be some accountability of the ship owners, however small they are. And I think to some extent, you will find ship management companies are a small company set up by a founder or two, three friends, and it's a boys' club being run with two or three ships. And they think that they don't need governance when they have two, three ships. But there is actually no external training for higher level management required in a ship management company or a ship owning company. And again, I'm not targeting ship management companies. I clearly see the problem is the ship owner rather than the ship manager. And I can see the ship owners uh, not knowing that they're putting the pressure that they're putting on the managers or on the ship staff. And say, apart from an executive MBA once in a while, there is no external training for higher level management. I don't know. I think some of my batchmates who are in ship management companies or ship owning companies have had no training at all for the last 15, 20 years since they left ship or since they did their last MBA. That doesn't make sense. And I think there has to be a minimum requirement, at least of having a board with one third party director or having a board of advisors instead of thinking that the higher management knows exactly what they're doing. The scenario in shipping is changing so often, and it is something that more brains are better in decision making and strategy. So for me, I learned a lot out of being in a non-shipping company in on the board, and I think that accountability can come in with corporate governance in shipping as well. But I surely think that should be the ship owners rather than the ship managers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for sharing so much of information with us, sharing the opportunities that exist in the Africa and other parts of the world, whether it is transshipment, whether it is logistics, and also sharing your point of view about India, about the logistics sector, and also the opportunities which may be there. And very wisely, actually, you have also talked about the management team of Adhira Shipping. You have talked about the security concerns and our own tonnage, and also about the corporate governance, how it should be in the shipping industry in India. Thank you very much for sharing all this information with us. I'm sure the audience will like it and they will share their comments with us. And if there are any questions, we'll bring it to you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Capt.
Thank you so much for your very valuable time.
Captain Mishra.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.